I'm here again, Aditi, with my channel Fun with Language. Today I'm going to explain you lesson 4 of NCERT Ashes That Made Trees Bloom, class 7th. It's a Japanese tale by William Elliot Griffiths. So let us go to the overview of the lesson. This is a story about an honest and a hard-working old couple and their pet dog. The neighbors are troublesome and the dog dies a sad death. The spirit of the dog gives solace, peace, and support to his master in unexpected ways. So let us read the lesson and find out how the dog helped his master. Before going to the lesson, let us go through the characters. Here, old man, old woman, Muko the dog, the rich landlord, the commander, wicked old couple, wicked old man and lady. Let us go through the word meanings that we come across in this lesson. Daimyo. Daimyo, it's a 19th century wealthy landowners. Daimyo is a wealthy land owner. Snug. Snug means comfortable. A being with a soul. It's a phrase. It means like a human child. Like a human child. Turned up. Turned up means to dug up. Gleamed, shone or glittered. On purpose, it means intentionally. Coaxed means persuaded or enticed. Dainties. Dainties means tasty food. Covetous. Covetous means greedy, greedy couple as it has been referred in the lesson. Crone. Old woman, old man's wife. Flung, it means threw. Carcass, dead body. Mortar means bowl. Pounding, pounding means crushing, grinding. Stingy, stingy means miserly. Withered, withered means bare and dry. Turned up their noses, it means treated with contempt. They did not like. Train, procession, parade or march. Prostrate, it means lying on the ground face downwards. People prostrated when the procession passed by. Palanquin. Palanquin means royal van or cart in which kings or queen used to go from one place to another. Seized means caught. Green. Here it means healthy, white, active, prosperous. So these are some of the word meanings that we are going to come across. Now let us go through the lesson. In the old days of daimyos, there lived an old couple whose only pet was a little dog. Having no children, they loved it as though it were a baby. So in the good olden days of daimyos, that means the time when the rich landlords were ruling, there lived an old couple and they had a pet, that is a dog, and they did not have any children. They loved it as though it were a baby, the dog was their baby. The old dame, the old lady, made it a cushion of blue crepe, and at mealtime, Muko, the dog, for that what its name, would sit on it as snug as any cat. So the old lady had made a cushion. Cushion means cushion on which the dog used to sit, and it had a covering of a blue crepe to make it comfortable. And at the meal time, the time to take their meals, Muku used to sit on it, and he would sit as if he felt very comfortable on it. Fine? He would sit on it as snug as comfortable as any cat. Fine? So, the couple used to love the dog as their own baby. The kind couple fed the pet with tidbits. Tidbits means small pieces of fish from their own chopsticks and oiled all the boiled rice it wanted. So they used to feed it with their own chopsticks and the boiled rice and some pieces of fish with their own chopsticks. So this shows that how much they used to love their pet. Thus, treated, the dumb creature loved its protectors like a being with a soul. So, thus treated, that means the way he was treated, in the similar way he used to reciprocate. The dumb creature here refers to the dog, Muko. He loved their protectors like a being with a soul. That means like a child. He used to love their master, the old couple. The old man, being a rice farmer, went daily with hoe and spade. Hoe and spade, these are the garden tools. So as the old man was a farmer, he used to go to the field carrying hoe and spade. Working hard from morning till O Tentasama, as the sun is called, has gone down behind the hills. So the old farmer used to work very hard from morning till evening, and the dog used to give him company. Every day the dog followed him to work and never once harming the white heron. Heron means the white bird, which are generally seen in the paddy fields. So the dog never used to harm any creature or a bird that walked in the footsteps of the old man to pick up the worms. So behind them, that if any creature or the bird is following, the dog never used to harm them. For the old fellow was patient and kind to everything that had life. So the old fellow, the old man, was very patient, very calm and a kind person, and kind to everything that had life. So to all the living creature, he showed his love and respect, and often turned up on sod. Turned up on sod means he used to dig the ground on purpose. Purpose means intentionally, to give food to the birds. What do the birds eat? The insect, the earthworms and the insects which are found in the ground, in the field. So sometimes the old man used to dig the ground to give food to the birds. So this shows that he was kind to all the creatures. One day the dog came running to him, putting his paws against his legs and motioning with his head to some spot behind. So one day the dog came running and he put his paws against his leg, and he was trying to show him something and moving towards the direction, and he was continuously showing him something as if it wants him to come along with him. The old man at first thought his pet was only playing and he didn't mind it. But the dog kept on winning and running to and fro for some times. But the dog, he kept on running around him. He's going and then coming back for some minutes. And then finally, the old man understood that the dog wished to show something to him. So he followed him. Then the old man followed the dog a few yards to a place where the animal began a lively scratching. So the old man followed the dog and they went to a place where the animal here refers to whom? The dog. He began lively scratching. He started scratching the ground as if he wishes to take out something. Thinking it was possibly a buried bone or a bit of fish, the old man stuck his hoe in the earth and lo, a pile of gold gleamed before him. So initially he thought, the old man, that there is a buried bone or a bit of fish which the dog wants to have. But then when he struck his hoe, the garden tool, he struck his hoe in order to dig the ground. What did he find? He found gleaming gold buried in the earth, buried in the ground. And thus, in an hour, the old couple were made rich. So the dog was lucky enough. He found treasure, the pile of gold for the old couple. The good souls here refers to the kind couple, bought a piece of land, made a feast for their friends. Made a feast means they organized meal, a party for their friends and gave plentifully, full of, lot of food, money to their poor neighbors. So they were so kind that they did not keep the money for themselves. They shared it with everyone. And as for the dog, he petted him. He stroked his back in order to praise whatever he has done. They petted him till they nearly smothered him with kindness. They showed their love with the kindness. Now, so this is how the dog found the treasure. But now there is a twist in the story. Now in the same village, there lived a wicked old man and his wife, and not a bit sensitive and kind, who had always kicked and scolded all dogs whenever any passed their house. So in the same village, there lived a wicked couple who were very insensitive towards all the living creatures. They used to kick the dogs, scold the dogs whenever they used to pass their house. Hearing of their neighbor's good luck, they coaxed, they persuaded the dog, enticed the dog to come to their garden and set before him bits of fish as if they were trying to bribe the dog. And not only the bits of fish, they also put other dainties, tasty food in front of him. And what were they hoping? They were hoping that he would find treasure for them, the way he had found for the old man. But the dog, being afraid of the cruel pair, would neither eat nor move. But what happened? The dog was scared of the couple. He did not even move. He did not even eat anything, and he stayed there. He did not find anything for it. And at last, they lost their temper. The couple lost their temper. Then they dragged him out of the doors, taking a spade and a hoe with them. So they forcefully dragged the dog outside the garden and they forced him to find the treasure. No sooner had the dog got near a pine tree growing in the garden than he began to paw and scratch as if a mighty treasure lay beneath. So the moment they came out of the garden, they saw a pine tree and the dog went near to it and started scratching as if here is the treasure, as if a mighty treasure lay beneath. It is under the ground. It is lying there beneath. "Quick, wife, hand me the spade and hoe," cried the greedy old fool as he danced with joy. So The wicked man asked his wife, "Quick, wife, give me the spade and hoe to dig the ground." And he danced with joy. He was very happy. He was overjoyed with the thought that they are going to have a lot of money. Then the covetous means greedy old fellow with a spade, and the old crone means the old lady, wicked lady, with a hoe began to dig. So the moment they saw the dog scratching somewhere, they went near to the spot and started digging the ground. But there was nothing but a dead kitten. So nothing was found there. It was only a dead kitten, the smell of which made them drop their tools and shut their noses. The moment they dug, what did they find? A smelly kitten. So what did they do? They dropped their weapons and they shut their noses. Furious at the dog. Furious means very angry. Furious at the dog, the old man kicked and beat him to death. So they were so unkind and insensitive. When the dog couldn't find the treasure, they started kicking him and they had beaten him to the death. So the dog died. And it was not over. The old woman finished the work by nearly chopping off his head with a sharp hoe. So look at it, how cruel they were. They killed the dog. They chopped his head off with the sharp hoe. Then they flung him into the hole, heaped the earth over his carcass. Carcass means dead body. So they put the body into the hole, covered it with the sand, and covered his dead body with the sand. The owner of the dog heard of the death of his pet and mourning. He was very sad. He cried for him as if he had been his own child. The old couple used to treat the pet as their own child, but when they heard that the dog is killed by them, they started crying. They felt sad. They were disappointed. And because they were mourning and crying for it, so, this shows that they were missing the pet. Went at night under the pine tree. So as he was missing him, he here refers to the old man. The old man, the kind old man, went at night under the pine tree where the dog was buried. His dead body was buried. He set up some bamboo tubes in the ground such as used before tombs. So what happened? So under the pine tree, he had put some bamboo tubes and then he put some fresh flowers in it. Then he laid a cup of water and a tray of food on the grave and burned several costly incense sticks. So incense sticks were burnt. He put some flowers, decorated the grave and put some water and food for the pet. He mourned a great while over his pet, calling him with many names. So while he was remembering him, he was crying and he was so sad that he started calling him with many dear names as if he were alive. That night, the spirit of the dog appeared to him in a dream. So that particular night when he had gone to his grave, the dog came in his dream and he asked him to do something. And what is that? He said, "Cut down the pine tree over my grave and make from it a mortar for your rice pastry and a mill for your bean sauce." So the dog says in the dream that cut that pine tree that stood near my grave and make a mortar for pounding and crushing. And what are you going to make out of it? Rice pastry, and make a mill for your bean sauce. So he instructed him to do something. So the old man chopped down the tree and cut out the middle of the trunk, a section about 2 feet long. So the moment he had a dream, the old man went and he cut the trunk of the tree with a great labor, partly by fire, partly by chisel. So with great labor, with a hard labor, he put some of the part of the trunk in the fire and then he chiseled it, made curved out of it the shape. He scraped out a hollow place as a big and a small bowl. So he, with the help of fire, chisel, he dug out a shape in the trunk and made a bowl. He then made a long handled hammer of wood, such as used for pounding. Pounding means crushing, grinding the rice. And when the New Year's time drew near, it came near, he wished to make some rice pastry. When the rice was all boiled, Granny put it in the mortar. The old man lifted his hammer to pound the mass, that means the batter, into a dough. The blows fell heavy and fast till the pastry was all ready for baking. So this is how the old man and the woman made their batter ready to make pastries. Suddenly the whole mass means the batter that they had made, the whole mass turned into a heap of gold. So the dog had instructed him to do something. The kind couple followed it. And what is the result? Again, the dog had held him in such a way that the whole mass of pastry that has been made, it turned into a heap of gold coins. When the old woman took the hand mill and filling it with beans, began to grind, the gold dropped like rain. So again they became rich. The sauce which was dropping down, which is made out of bean, it dropped from the pipe through the pipe as if these are nothing but the golden coins which are dropping down like rain. So once again the couple got rich. Meanwhile, the envious means the jealous neighbor peeped in at the window when the boiled beans were being ground. So what is happening? The time when they were grinding and pounding, the wicked couple was watching all these activities through the window. They were peeping inside secretively. "Goody me!" cried the old hag as she saw each dripping of sauce turning into a yellow gold. So the lady says, "Goody me! Oh God!" And she says that how is it possible? And when she saw each dripping of sauce turning into yellow gold, until in a few minutes the tub under the mill was full of shining mass of gold. So all the batter turned into gold. So the couple were rich again. The next day, the stingy means miser, and the wicked neighbor came, borrowed the mortar and the magic mill. They filled one with the boiled rice and other with beans. So the way kind couple had done, they also did the same. Then the old man began to pound and the woman began to grind. But at the first blow and turn, the pastry and the sauce turned into foul smell, very bad smell of worms. Nothing turned into gold coins. The entire mass changed into the foul mass of worms. Still more angry at this, they chopped the mill into pieces, to use as firewood. So once again, they had proved themselves that they were so cruel and insensitive. The mortar and the mill which was made by the kind couple, they chopped it, they broke it and used the same wood in the fire. So this is the second time they had destroyed whatever has been instructed by the dog. Now, we are going to discuss the first comprehension check of the lesson. Why did the neighbors kill the dog? So this is the question, and you must start your answer from the question itself. The neighbors killed. Why should we use killed? Because our question is in past tense. Did tells us that it is in past tense. The neighbors killed the dog because it could not find the treasure for them. That is why he was killed by them. Now choose the correct option. The old farmer and his wife loved the dog because it helped them in their day-to-day work as if it was their own baby, as they were kind to all living creatures. So the right option is B, as if it was their own baby. Next question. When the old couple became rich, we have to complete the statement, and now the choices are: they gave the dog better food, they invited their greedy neighbors to a feast, they lived comfortably and were generous. Generous means kind towards their poor neighbors. So the right answer is C. They lived comfortably and were generous towards their poor neighbors. Next question. The greedy couple borrowed the mill and the mortar to make rice pastry and bean sauce, magic ash to win reward, a pile of gold. The right answer is a pile of gold. They were very cunning and they were very shrewd. They peeped through the window and saw that how it had turned into a pile of gold. So this is what they were expecting. So this was the comprehension check. Now let us go through the second part of the lesson. Not long after that, the good old man dreamed again. So this is the next time when the old man dreamt of the dog. The spirit of the dog spoke to him, telling him how the wicked couple had burned the mill made from their pine tree. So this time the dog explained everything in detail, that how wicked couple had burned the pine tree which stood in his near to his grave, and the mortar and the mill. And he said, take the ashes of the mill. They had burnt it, so you go and take ashes of the mill and sprinkle it on the withered trees. Withered means barren, without any flower. So sprinkle it on the withered tree and they will bloom again. So this is what the dog said. So the spirit of the dog said that take the ashes of the mill and the mortar and sprinkle it on the withered tree, they'll all bloom. The old man awoke, went at once to his wicked neighbor's house, where he found the miserable, unkind old pair sitting at the edge of the square fireplace in the middle of the floor, smoking and spinning. So they were putting the pieces of the wood from the mortar and the mill into the fire, and they were smoking and sitting by the side of the fireplace. From time to time, they warmed their hands. They were warming their hands and feet with the blaze from some bits of mill, while behind them lay a pile of broken pieces. So behind them there were broken pieces of mill line, and time again they were putting some bits into the fireplace. The old man very humbly asked for the ashes. That could you please give me some amount of ash? Though the covetous couple turned up their noses, they did not like that they had come to their home and they were asking for something. They turned up their noses, they disrespected him and scolded him as if he were a thief. So it was his own motor, but then when he came to ask for the ashes of the mill, he was considered as if he were a thief. He's begging, he's stealing something. They let him fill a basket with the ashes. So the covetous couple, they let him fill the basket with the ash. On coming home, the old man took his wife into the garden. It being winter, their favorite cherry tree was bare. It did not have any flower. So the old man sprinkled a pinch of ashes on it, and lo, it sprouted blossoms until it became a cloud of pink blooms which perfumed the air. So the moment he sprinkled the ash on the withered tree, it sprouted the blossom. The flowers appeared suddenly and it became the cloud of pink bloom, and the entire barren tree bloomed with the cherry flower, pink, beautiful, and the environment, the entire garden was smelling with the fragrance of flowers. The news of this filled the village. So people in the village, they came to see that how in winter it is possible that the cherry tree is blooming. And everyone ran out to see the wonder. The covetous couple also heard the story, and gathering up the remaining ashes of the milk, kept them to make withered tree blossom. So they all collected the ash and they wanted to make all the withered trees bloom. The kind old man, hearing that his lord, the daimyo, was to pass along the high road near the village, set out to see him. So what happened? The daimyo, he wanted to see the daimyo, so he went near to the road taking his basket of ashes. As the train approached, as the procession approached, he climbed up into an old withered cherry tree that stood by the wayside. So when he saw the procession, the march, the parade, the landlord along with his commandants, along with his soldiers approaching, the old man climbed up a tree, a withered tree which was barren. Fine, a barren tree which is on by the wayside. Now in the days of daimyo, it was a custom, it was a habit, it was a tradition. When their landlord passed by, for all the people, loyal people, to shut up their high windows. That means nobody is supposed to see the daimyo. They have to close their windows, they'll have to keep their eyes down, they need to bend down. They even pasted them fast with a slip of paper because they were not allowed to keep their eye on the landlord, so as not to commit the impertinence, disrespect of looking down on his lordship. Impertinence means disrespect. So in order to avoid that, they had to look down. All the people along the road would fall upon their hands and knees and remain prostrate. They lay down on the ground until the procession passed by. So the people had to remain lying down on the ground until the march or the parade passed by. The train drew near. The procession came near. One tall, competent man, competent means capable. Capable man marched ahead, and he was crying out loud to the people, and he was the shrill voice he was crying out and commanding the people, get down on your knees, get down on your knees. So he was instructing the people to get down so as they should not see the landlord and respect him. And everyone kneeled down while the procession was passing. Suddenly, the leader of the van caught sight of the aged man up in the tree. So what happened? When the van was moving and approaching, the leader of the van saw that there was an aged man up on the tree. He was about to call out to him in an angry tone, but seeing he was such an old fellow, he pretended not to notice him. So he thought that he was such an old man, he would be beaten up or he would be jailed. So he avoided it. He pretended, he showed as if he had not noticed him and passed him by. And the procession passed by. So when the daimyo palanquin drew near, the old man, taking a pinch of ash from his basket, scattered it over the tree. And what happened? In a moment, it burst into blossom. So as the palanquin drew near, he took a pinch of ash, sprinkled it on the withered tree, and the tree started to bloom. The delighted means happy, daimyo ordered the train to be stopped. He ordered the procession to be stopped and got out to see the wonder, because this was a magic. He had never seen during winter the cherry trees blooming. So he was amazed, astonished to see it. Calling the old man to him, he thanked him and ordered presents of silk robes, long dresses, sponge cakes, fans, and the other rewards to be given to him. So the daimyo was so happy with him that he ordered number of presents for the old man, and he even invited him to the castle. So the old man went gleefully, cheerfully. He went home and he shared his joy with his wife. So the old man's intention was so good that because of that, the king, the landlord, had presented him silk robes, sponge cakes and fans, and even rewarded him. Now, but when the greedy neighbor heard of it, he took some magic ashes and went out on the highway. He also wished to try the same because he was greedy. Whatever the kind neighbor used to do, he used to follow it, but every time he failed. But this time, there he waited until the daimyo's train came along, and instead of kneeling down like a crowd, he climbed up a withered cherry tree. So like an old man, he also climbed up the tree. When the daimyo himself was almost directly under him, he threw a handful of ashes over the tree, which did not change a particle. So what happened? The moment he sprinkled, he did not took a pinch of it. He took a handful of it, and the ashes were there in the air. But nothing changed in the tree. No change could be seen on the tree. All the particles remained the same. The wind blew the fine dust in the noses and the eyes of the daimyo and his wife. So the wind took all the particles into Daimyo's wife and his nose and eyes, and they started sneezing. So such sneezing and choking, it spoiled all the pomp and dignity of the procession. So what happened? He had a desire to get the gifts and the reward because he thought that the ash would turn the withered tree into blooming flowers, but nothing changed. The particles went directly into the nose and the eyes of Daimyo and his wife, and the entire procession, the parade, was spoiled. The man whose business is to cry, "Get down on your knees," he seized the old fool. He caught the old man by the collar, dragged him from the tree, tumbled him and his ash bucket into the ditch by the road. So he caught him, he dragged him down, and his ash was thrown on the road. Then beating him soundly, he left him dead. So he was beaten up by the commandants, he was beaten up by the soldiers, and he was dead. Thus the wicked old man died in the mud, but the kind friend of the dog dwelt. He lived in peace and plenty. Both he and his wife lived to a green, healthy, prosperous old age. So this is how the dog had helped his masters number of times, and because of the good deeds and good intention, they were always rewarded and respected in the society. So I hope you have understood the lesson, you have comprehended the lesson, and you are able to do the question answers. Now in the next slide, I am going to discuss working with the text. Let us quickly go through working with the text. The first question is, the old farmer is a kind person. What evidence of his kindness do you find in his first two paragraphs? The answer is, the old farmer treated the dog as his own baby. He used to feed the dog with his own chopsticks. He was also very kind to the other creatures in the field. Next question. What did the dog do to lead the farmer to the hidden gold? The dog came running to the farmer and kept his paws against his legs. He kept on showing the direction of the spot with his head. The old man initially ignored, but later followed the dog. So this is how you're going to answer this question. Let us go to the next question. How did the spirit of the dog help the farmer first? The answer is, the spirit of the dog came in the farmer's dream and asked him to chop down the tree on his grave and make a mortar and a hand mill. The mortar and the mill gave the farmer heaps of gold. Next question. How did it help him next? So you should start your answer this way. The spirit of the dog came again in the farmer's dream and asked him to collect the ash of the mortar and the mill and sprinkle it on the withered tree, and they will bloom. So this is how the dog helped him. The last question. Why did the daimyo reward the farmer but punish his neighbor for the same act? This is one of the most important questions of this lesson, and it generally comes in the long answer type question. The old man had sprinkled the ash over the withered tree and it blossomed. The daimyo was pleased to see the miracle and he rewarded the farmer. He even invited him to the castle to give him sponge cakes and silk robes. But the wicked old man sprinkled the ash, but nothing happened. The ash particles went into Daimyo's eyes and nose, and he began to sneeze and cough. This spoiled the procession, and the wicked man was beaten to death. So I hope this lesson is clear to you, and if you want to refer, you may see the entire video once again and comprehend it. I hope you have liked the video, and if you like it, so kindly like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.